YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network here on Thanksgiving Eve of 2021. From all of us here at Sports Talk and the Sports Talk family, we wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving, great travel, safe travels. Enjoy whatever you have planned over the next 24, 48 hours. Try and get some rest, okay? Try and get some rest because you're going to need it on Saturday night because it's going to be a late night. We'll see how wild and woolly it is. Temperature should be okay. I don't think it's going to be all that uncomfortable. But it's going to be a long day on Saturday, of course, a long day of tailgating and imbibing and eating tomorrow as well, and imbibing and doing everything else that you do on Turkey Day. So enjoy it. We're glad you're with us wherever you've got us dialed in on one of our stations around the state of South Carolina. Maybe you're listening to us on our stream on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, or our stream on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. We welcome you, no matter where you are. And we'll make time for your phone calls tonight. It's a busy edition of Sports Talk as we get ready for South Carolina Clemson. And we also, of course, remember that we've got a little more football around the state of South Carolina this weekend. You've got Coastal Carolina playing at South Alabama. That's a Friday afternoon game. And Newberry College going up to Bowie State, Maryland to play in the second round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. Plus, we've got high school football playoffs on Friday night, and we're down to just 20 teams in the state of South Carolina, upper and lower state championships. And, of course, the high schools love to be practicing this time of year, the day before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Day, and then playing on Friday, upper and lower state championships. So we still have some football going on. And, of course, there's plenty of college basketball. South Carolina last night, a winner over Wofford in a really good game at the Colonial Life Arena. The Gamecocks shot the ball extremely well. And Eric Stevenson, I told you, even though he struggled the first few games, that shooting form of his, it was not going to let him down for too long. And he was on target last night. He was on fire. I mean, look, the Gamecocks are not going to shoot the ball 60% every night, but it's good from a basketball standpoint as a team to do that occasionally. And they were on target last night, and they beat Wofford in a good ball game. And Wofford is very, very good, as we know. And Coastal Carolina tonight playing for a championship in the Bahamas. Coastal Carolina taking on Toledo. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Congratulations to Coastal Carolina coach Cliff Ellis. Win number 800 came last night over Valpo, and on the scene to call it all on the Coastal Carolina radio network, our own Chris Bergen, who joins us one more time from the Bahamas. He is the Bahama Mama, and I'm not even sure you want to come back to the United States, but if you do, I hope they let you back in. Make sure you check your bags and, nobody has slipped anything in those bags that might cause you an issue.
And have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I was thinking, speak for yourself. We're going to spend the entire day tomorrow in the airport. I think our flight goes from here in Nassau to Baltimore, Maryland for some reason. Maybe I'll hang out and watch the Newberry team take on Bowie State while I'm up there. And then sometime later on tomorrow evening, we land back in Myrtle Beach. But, yeah, it's been a terrific visit down here at the Bahamas. Weather has been spectacular, as you might imagine, even for November. Now, today's been a little cool and windy, not anything like back at home. But, yeah, we've had a great trip. And last night was just sort of the cherry on the sundae, if you will. And that was before Coastal even plays tonight against Toledo for the championship, the Bahamar Nassau championship against Toledo, a very good team who won the other semifinal yesterday over Tulane. And you've got Valparaiso and Tulane playing right now in the third place game with Tulane and Valpo deadlocked at 28 here right before halftime. But Phil, last night, Cliff Ellis got something normally reserved for football coaches. He got doused with water in the locker room after the win, it being his 800th. He came out for his postgame, and his shirt was just soaked. That's how good grief, coach. I haven't seen you sweat that much during the ball game. He said, no, that was not the case. He said the team really shared its admiration for him and what he was able to accomplish. He's just the 13th basketball coach, to put that into perspective, to eclipse 800 Division I wins. I mean, he's in there now with luminaries like Dean Smith and Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim and Bob Huggins, and he's still right now the fourth active winningest coach currently in college basketball. So what Cliff Ellis has accomplished at what you wouldn't necessarily say are blue blood basketball schools in South Alabama, Clemson, and Auburn, and now here at Coastal has just been nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to him. I feel like I've been around for about 600 of those 800 wins of his, from his days at South Alabama and Clemson and Auburn and now Coastal Carolina. So great moment for him and his family, and I'm sure he was very proud of the fact that he's reached that 800 mark, and he's not ready to call it a career yet. He's got some more wins ahead of him, and we'll see how far the Chanticleers can go this basketball season. You can join us here tonight on Sports Talk if you choose. Phone number is 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Take your phone calls about the game coming up Saturday. Predictions from you as to how you think it's going to go. My official prediction came this morning. I want to give thanks once again to our friends in Florence, our affiliates over in Florence, who had me in for their 4-hour, I call it a mouthathon, a 4-hour Clemson Carolina Gab Fest. The big boy, bad boy, good. Thanks to the, I'm sorry, a little bit of distraction here. Thanks to Alan Smothers, the bad boy, and Bob Schuster. I was there with Ken Ard and former Clemson tight end Thomas Hunter. And Tommy Gainey, two gloves. Tommy Gainey was there. He came in, made an appearance. And the Rev Dave Baker. Thanks to all of them for having me down. We were on the air for 4 hours. Talking Clemson and South Carolina football. And we broke it down from about every possible angle that you could break it down from. I've got. I think it's going to be, as I've said throughout the week, I think it's going to be a good ball game. Unlike the most recent past, I think the last 4 games, Clemson's won in their 6-game winning streak. Clemson's won by an average of 32 points in those 4 games. The first 2 games, you might recall, of the 6-game winning streak for Clemson were relatively competitive. So it's the last 4 games that Clemson has dominated, and by an average of 32 points. So I think South Carolina is good enough on defense to kind of hang in there. I'm still not convinced offensively they can do a whole lot against this Clemson defense. This Clemson defense is still elite at this particular time. It's an elite group. They can play man coverage. They can bring the speed rush off the edge. South Carolina's tackles, I don't know that they can keep Clemson's defensive ends out of the backfield. And then up the middle, Clemson's not as strong up the middle, though Tyler Davis is in there. But with the people they've lost, not having Bresci in there, for example, not having Trey Williams, and others, I don't know that they are as physically strong. I know Ohoro is playing well. Ruben Etanoso is in there giving them some snaps and things like that. I just don't know that they are as strong up the middle. But on the edge, I mean, KJ Henry's playing very well. Thomas, of course, is a factor. They're just very good with their rush off the edge, and of course the variety of blitzes that Brent Venables is going to dial up on Saturday. He's going to bring a heat in a lot of different ways against the Gamecocks offense. This offensive line for South Carolina does play better at home than it does on the road. For whatever that's worth, they do seem to play a little bit better at home. Maybe that'll help them out, having the home crowd behind them, and they communicate better at home, whatever the case may be. Still, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Clemson wins it. I've got 24-14, Clemson over South Carolina. That's within the spread. The spread's 11.5. So that's where I'm going. I like Clemson to win it. Relatively a close ball game, 24-14 there, Bergie.
I like that, and I like the breakdown you just gave. And it's interesting you mentioned that the offensive line for the Gamecocks plays so much better at Williams-Brice Stadium than it has away from home. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's communication, and that has been an issue for that front 5, front 6 all season long. They've had problems communicating with one another, but I think when it's quieter and the home fans realize offensive work and all of that kind of stuff, they do a much better job. But I still think you mentioned Clemson's defense is elite, and I can't argue that point any better. But I think what I would add to that, it's also disruptive, and that's what allowed them to break out to the big advantage last week against Wake Forest. They made it awfully hard on Hartman to throw the football, even get a pass off, much less complete a pass, and just got so disruptive of that Wake Forest offense that there was very little they could do. And South Carolina's got to guard against that. They've got to find a way to throw the first punch and hang in there early and keep that crowd involved. But I think as the game wears along, I think South Carolina will play much better than it has in the last several years, obviously against the Tigers. I agree with you, though. I don't think it's enough. I think Clemson's still the better team, and I think they win the ball game. But I think it's probably in that 10-point neighborhood as well, Phil. I don't want to copycat what you just said, but maybe 30-20, somewhere in that neighborhood, to be that ball game. And I think everybody in our state, even Gamecock fans, yeah, you're disappointed you would lose for the 7th straight time to your rivals. But I think that speaks to the progress the program has made in just one season of Shane Beamer. And I think we heard that today when the school announced the game is a sellout. I don't think anybody, when the season began, believed that Gamecock fans would come out in droves for a matchup with Clemson because they've been so lopsided lately. I think that just speaks volumes of the job that Shane Beamer has done. He's not quite there, obviously, but they've made tremendous strides. And to still be on the field and playing competitive with Clemson, I think would be another step in the right direction.
All right, Pat, what you got? How do you see the game playing down between the Gamecocks and the Tigers? Which way you leaning?
Well, I'm leaning towards Clemson right now. I just think that the defense will be too strong, but I think that Coach Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks are going to go back to that mindset they had over the last few games of the season where they start to actually hammer the run more and more. And yes, Clemson's front seven is still formidable. They're just as good on the back end, but I still think the recipe against them is to just rely heavily on the run, especially with that being the strength of this South Carolina offense right now. I mean, they have a three-headed monster at running back. I fully anticipate to see 40 to 50 rushes from the Gamecocks in this game, just hammering the rock all night long, adding in the occasional play-action pass. But I think the Clemson offense will find its way into the end zone several times, and I don't see Carolina putting up more than 13 to 16 points. I'm thinking 31-13 Clemson, with South Carolina getting in the end zone early and then not returning again the rest of the night.
All right. Coming up tonight here on Sports Talk. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Coming up in a few minutes, Chalk Talk with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. We'll hear what they have to say about the matchup on Saturday. And then 7:30, Will and the Thrill. They get a chance to go at one another now for real, as the passion will be running very high between those two as they talk about and they represent their two alma maters going at it on Saturday in Columbia. Again, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you want to join us with a comment or a question or an observation about Saturday, feel free to join in. We'll hit our first break here on Sports Talk, and we'll get back to updating some of the news items of the day. A lot of basketball, of course, taking place. Got some state teams in action. One of the big games nationally this afternoon in double overtime. UConn defeated Auburn 115-109. What a ball game that was. UConn is off to a 5-0 start on the season. We'll take a look at some other scores and more after this break on Sports Talk.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation.
Hunter Helms in at quarterback, drops straight back in the end zone, fires deep. He's got a receiver up the seam. 45, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown for Omarion Dollison.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small rural school districts. The SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network on this Thanksgiving Eve of 2021. Newberry coach Todd Knight's also going to join us later tonight, about 7:45 or so. He's got his own radio show, 7 o'clock. He'll be free a little bit after that, and we'll have him in the latter portions of our program after Will and the Thrill to talk about their playoff matchup up at Bowie State on Saturday. 888-898-2525 is the number, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And a reminder that more than $2.2 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to fund life scholarships for the state's college-bound students. You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/educationwins, and playing for fun is a win for education. Chris Bergen's in the Bahamas. Pat's in Columbia. I am on an unknown island off the coast of South Carolina. Now I'm actually, down in Garden City, the home away from home, the studio by the bay, as we like to call it. Some other college basketball going on involving SEC, ACC teams and state teams today. Presbyterian has defeated VMI, improving to 3-2. Presbyterian wins at 59-54 over VMI this afternoon. Rayshawn Harrison had 22 points to lead the Blue Hose. Syracuse and VCU were tied at 18. Of course, that's in the first half. Texas A&M and Notre Dame later tonight. Virginia Tech, Memphis, that should be a good one, playing up in Brooklyn. Vanderbilt and Pitt playing tonight in Pittsburgh. Ohio State and Florida, another big one, playing down in Fort Myers, Florida. Of course, Coastal Carolina and Toledo. Boston University playing Florida State tonight. UConn, a winner over Auburn, 115-109. plenty of college basketball out there for you over the Thanksgiving holidays. Berger, you had some reply to what Pat said just a moment ago?
Actually, two things I wanted to point out. I can't believe you left off the Tulane 33-30 lead over Valparaiso here in the third place game of the Baja Mar Hoops Nassau Championship, but I'll let that slide. And by the way, for Coastal fans, if you're unavailable to listen to me after Sports Talk is over, of course, you're unable to hear the radio broadcast. I believe the game is actually going to be on CBS Sports Network tonight with tip-off set for 8 o'clock. But one thing back to the Carolina-Clemson game, Phil, before we get to the phone calls, Pat was talking about the Tigers sort of dominating the game for the most part, and I think he may be on to something there. But one thing I think that would keep South Carolina in the ball game is the way their defense has been opportunistic. They talked about Clemson's defense being so disruptive. Keep in mind, the Gamecocks have forced at least 2 turnovers in 8 of their 11 games. And DJ Uiagalelei has had the propensity to throw an interception or 2. And I think South Carolina will force a turnover or 2 out of the Tigers, and that may get them in a situation where they have a short field and maybe don't have to go as far against that awfully stout Clemson defense.
All right, let's go to Travis in Greenville. Get some calls going here for a few minutes. Travis, happy holidays to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Same to you, and thank you very much. And I was just wanting to call in. I've been sitting here listening, and I just think, for one, there's no way Clemson would have ever beat Auburn, period. I think Auburn would run all over them. And I think that everybody I could be wrong, but I think that Clemson's going to go away from Death Valley heartbroken, or from Williams-Brice heartbroken. Because, if Carolina plays like they did last week, it's going to be terrible for them. I mean, it seems like they started clicking, and they carry that momentum over. I don't see Clemson stopping them.
What's your score?
I think it's going to be a tight game. I really do. I think it's going to be something like 20-13.
Gamecocks 20-13.
Yes, sir.
I think Shane Beamer and company would sign up for that right now.
I do too. I mean, like I said, I think it's taking him a while, but they're finally starting clicking. That running game is really pounding the ball. And if that defense stays fired up, man, turnovers, like y'all just said, that's going to be key.
That's the great equalizer, turnovers, if you can get them. In South Carolina, as we know, their secondary's been among the best in the country at interceptions. And Chris is right. If South Carolina can shake up Uiagalelei, unnerve him a little bit, get him moving in an uncomfortable way, they might come up with some picks. All right, Travis, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the phone call.
Thank you, and y'all have a happy holidays, and I'll continue listening.
Thank you.
You too, Travis.
Let's go down to Charleston. Gigi, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good evening, Phil. I hope you and your family have a wonderfully delicious and relaxing Thanksgiving holiday and a happy Hanukkah to everybody out there. And I just want to say, go Coach Beamer and go Lady G's. It'll be an awesome season. And of course, Frankie, my favorite coach of all college men's basketball. He is awesome. And of course, he's from Miami like me. And it's so cold here.
Well, Gigi, give us a prediction on the football game Saturday.
Are you kidding? I don't know. I just know when you said the other week, all right, gentlemen, tell your wives, tell your girlfriends, football season is upon us. I am now a statistic. I love my husband dearly, but I am a football widow. But that's okay.
That is okay. That's part of life in the South.
I love watching the Lady G's. I love when my husband tells me that Coach Beamer's son ran up to him and hugged him. I think it is so precious. We love Coach Beamer. We love Coach Frank. Oh, my God, it better be a great season for everybody.
Well, Gigi, y'all have a great holiday yourself. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it as always. You are our favorite female caller here on Sports Talk. And you know what? Your women's team is undefeated, and your men's team's only got 1 loss and looking pretty good. And the football program appears to be on the uptick. It's a good time right now at South Carolina. But then again, getting hammered by Clemson Saturday can change the mood in a hurry.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Another hard freeze expected overnight with the low dropping to 29. Tomorrow, chilly early, but warming up for your Thanksgiving festivities to 65. We'll have more sunshine than clouds. Friday could be a rain day, while on Saturday for Carolina and Clemson, we'll have sunshine all day at a high of 61. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Damages from flooding last week in northwest Washington state expected to reach at least $50 million. And now, to make matters worse, forecasters say the region can expect heavy rain moving in Thanksgiving morning. Authorities say a boat loaded with migrants has capsized in the English Channel while attempting to cross from France to Britain. At least 31 people are dead. Commerce Department says new home sales edged up 0.4%, coming in below expectations as prices continued to climb. Sales of new houses running 23% below 1 year ago. Meanwhile, officials say the median price of a new home rose to a record $407,000 last month, up 18% from a year earlier. This is SRN News.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanberry from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at the point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear Blaze Orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to a lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hey, Tiger fans, 2022 Clemson baseball season tickets are currently on sale. Coach Monty Lee and your Clemson Tiger baseball team open the season on February 18th, and you can be there for every game by purchasing your season tickets. Home series include matchups against Miami, Florida State, NC State, Georgia Tech, as well as our annual home games against South Carolina and Georgia, and many more. So log on to ClemsonTigers.com to purchase your Clemson baseball tickets and come back home to Clemson.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Press that button, home stew.
we have our various theme songs for our segments here on Sports Talk. Pat, do you want to tell us exactly where you found that one for our two gents, Coach Reedy and Coach Johnson, and why it's appropriate?
So that is from the old show NFL Films Presents. That was the theme song, and it's just stuck with me since I was a kid watching that show with my dad. And it just, in my mind, fits old school football, which epitomizes these two guests we have regularly on our show, and we appreciate their time. It's just, I don't know, for some reason in my head, I connect the two together. Very old school.
I don't think they like being referred to as old in any fashion. Let's welcome in once again for another Chalk Talk session here on Sports Talk, two of the greatest football minds to ever walk a sideline in South Carolina. We have Coach Chuck Reedy and Coach Ellis Johnson. Coach Reedy, good evening. How are you?
Good to be back with you.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it. Glad you're back from your sojourn to Europe and all kind of different places. That's a great trip. That was wonderful. Was it just a vacation, or you were celebrating something special?
No, it was just a trip. It was very nice. Thank you.
All right, very good, very good. And we are going to have Ellis with us in just a moment. We had him with the line drop, so we'll go ahead and jump in with you while we get Ellis on board. So, hey, it's time for South Carolina Clemson. You've been on both sides of the rivalry, so you know all about it. From a coach's standpoint, do the coaches internally get as twisted about this game as the fans and maybe some of the players do?
Probably not. You realize how important it is. I mean, obviously it's something you got to live with, throughout the whole course of the year. But, it's just another football game. You prepare for it the same way. And, no, you don't get as worked up as the fans do.
Yeah. So when you look at South Carolina's offense, for example, coming off the Auburn game, where they did some good things, and they took advantage of the opportunity presented to them by Auburn when they gave them the short field. They went down and knocked that in for a touchdown. And I thought Jason Brown took a step forward against Auburn. How would you judge that performance, and then maybe expound on that as to how they might fare against Clemson?
Well, obviously, he's getting better every game. I tell you, he's doing a good job protecting the football. And he has some mobility, not great runner by any means, but, he has some mobility, did a good job of stepping up in the pocket and making throws. The thing I like is they're running the ball, they're running the ball much better. He threw the ball 15 times. That's my kind of game. They threw it just enough, but they were able to run the football. And I think that's been the big thing over the last few weeks. I mean, they're running the ball much better. And, I think that'll be critical going into Clemson. Now, Clemson's a whole different animal. Other than Georgia, they haven't played anybody as good on defense as Clemson is. And so, but they've still got to run the football. And, and they're going to go out there and they're going to get stuffed, on some runs, but, you can't give up on it. And what they can't do, if they go out there and try to throw the ball, 25, 30, 35 times, they'll get run out of the stadium. They've got to run the ball. They got to be patient and, and give him situations like he's been in where, he's not in long yardage situations all night and what have you.
Mm-hmm. Ellis Johnson has now joined us. Thank you, Coach. Good to have you with us. And like Coach Reedy, you too know the rivalry from both locker rooms. Yeah, as you think back to your time at Clemson, your time at South Carolina, any difference between the two schools, the two programs, as to the approach to this game?
I don't think so, Phil. I think as far as the players, it's a big game for all of them. Coaches, they understand the rivalry. The fan bases, to me, are not that different in their approach. There's some crazies out there everywhere, and then there's some very loyal fans. And I've been treated pretty bad going into Williams-Brice. I've been treated pretty bad going into Memorial Stadium. But no, it's pretty similar. My time at Clemson, I had a couple of friends at Carolina, but I really didn't know that staff all that well. And it wasn't much of a pressure cooker for me, getting ready for that week. It was just, it was important, big rival, et cetera. When I was at Carolina, about 4 of those guys on the Clemson staff I coached, and about 3 or 4 others I coached with, including the head coach. And so it was a hard week for me. It really was. When we would win, it was more of a relief than a joy until I thought back on it a few weeks later and I'd get happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only difference for me is when I was at each school.
Look, coaches for years on both sides have always said this in a big game. It's an important game. Of course, their league championships are always important, Ellis, and that's what they want to win as well. But I also have to believe the winner of this game, you have to live in this state 365 days a year. I got to believe for the winning side. And when South Carolina won 5 in a row, it was great. And Clemson right now is enjoying a 6-game winning streak. It does make your life easier around your homestead when you've got that win over the rival.
Yeah, no question. And I don't think wins, singular wins, affect recruiting that much. But I do think when you get in a streak, and there's a big difference in the two programs for any length of time, it starts to affect recruiting. And so I personally don't like to see these, except when I'm the one on the good end. I don't like to see these streaks. I kind of like it, when it's a back and forth deal and they're really good programs. But I've got kind of different feelings about it. I grew up in the state, played football in the state, coached high school in the state, coached for both of these schools, coached for another school in the state. I just, I'm really just kind of partial to the state of South Carolina football. So I like it better when the two programs are both good and both competitive and having a better rivalry.
Chalk Talk with Ellis Johnson and Chuck Riddy. Ellis, based on what you've seen the last couple of weeks, let's say last 3 weeks, Clemson's on a 4-game winning streak. USC's won 2 out of 3, and 2 of those wins, Florida and Auburn, which I always say for South Carolina, that's great, regardless of the condition of those programs. For South Carolina, those are great wins. South Carolina kind of closed the gap here a little bit to where you think we're going to have a tight ball game on Saturday?
I'm not sure. It's hard to predict, but I do think it's going to be a lot of reasons that it could be a tight ball game. Clemson has a better roster overall, but the separation is not what it had. Still down 70, and he threw a pick early in the game. But according to the radio, I was in the car when the game was on. It was a bad decision. So I think the whole difference is if Clemson's defense can cause South Carolina to take away their run and cause South Carolina to put the game in Jason's hands, it's going to be Carolina's. It's going to be a big test for Carolina. On the other hand, if Carolina can run the football a little bit on Clemson and not let them, bring pressure and all that on these 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 10s, then I think they got a very good chance. And they're 5-1 at home. So, if you look at it statistically, if you kind of look at it logically, Clemson should win the game. But I just think there's some things right now that are in Carolina's favor that they could pull off an upset.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, when you're calling plays and you're facing a team like Clemson, which has such great defensive ends that can bring pressure, and you're facing a coordinator like Venables, whose reputation is for dialing up exotic blitzes and coming at you from all different ways. What's the best way to offset that? We had a question earlier this week from a caller asking, when you're calling the plays, what are some of the best plays to call to offset that kind of pressure?
Well, you've got to be able to throw screens. You've got to be able to max protect at times and knowing that you're going to have one-on-one coverage to be able to throw the ball down the field. Just do the counter plays. The counter plays have been good. And those guys coming upfield, if you can protect the inside and attack it off tackle with the counter plays, those are good. But you just Clemson, Wake Forest, was I mean, they took Wake Forest out of the game in the first quarter just by just dominating them. And you know, the thing that's scary about Clemson, and it was with Wake, and it may be against Carolina, is they're so dominant up front. You know, they just overwhelm you. I mean, and even though you may have a guy to block everybody, you know, that doesn't matter. They overpower you because they're so much better up front. But you know, again, you know, you've got to be able to slow down that rush by screens, draws, things of that nature. Because if you can, break a draw or something, you know, you're going to have big plays. If you can get a screen, you're going to have big plays. If you can max protect and throw one-on-one, you got a chance for big plays. And you know, that's what you do that, and you can slow them down a little bit.
Yeah. What did you think of Uiagalelei and Clemson's offense against Wake Forest? I mean, first of all, I thought Clemson's defense set the tone on the very first play in the very first series, the way they got after the Wake Forest quarterback. And then, you know, Uiagalelei and that running game, the whole offensive concept they had against Wake Forest. What was your takeaway from that?
Well, Uiagalelei, you know, he's getting better. You know, he's he made one really good throw to Collins for the touchdown. He still made a lot of errant throws. They ran the ball much better, and that was the key to the game. Obviously, they only threw the ball 20 times. He threw it 19 times. So they're trying to keep him from having to make a bunch of throws. And they ran the ball well. But, you know, you have to understand Wake Forest, not a very good defense football team. I mean, they've won a lot of games by outscoring people. And so, you know, I wouldn't get real excited about, you know, all of a sudden Clemson's really good on offense. You know, the last 2 weeks, the two teams they played, Connecticut and Wake Forest, are not good defensive football teams. Carolina has played well defensively this year. And so, you know, they'll get a much bigger test, much stronger test, you know, I think this Saturday than they have the last few weeks. They've gotten better, but, you know, I still think they have a long way to go.
Ellis, what do you see for South Carolina's defense as the keys? What do you think they can do now you heard what Chuck said, and he's right. They have piled up some yardage against some inferior defenses, and South Carolina's defense has been ranked in the top 40 most of the year. They've been pretty steady, though they have given up 100-yard rushing games to 7 different backs. And, of course, Missouri ate them up on the ground with their running back. And I don't know, what was Mike Bobo? Let me go back to Chuck real quick. What was Mike Bobo thinking? Why didn't he feed the rock to that running back of his?
I have no idea. I'm going to tell you what, that guy, he may be the best running back in the country. I mean, he is good. And, you know, they got a 4th and 1, or it was long one. First of all, I don't know why they went for it. I don't understand that. And then to call the play they called, I mean, you know, they should have got beat. But, you know, I would have given the ball to, I'm trying to think of the guy's name now. Bigsby. Tank Bigsby. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'd bet my money on that guy getting 1.5 yards, you know, any day. I mean, and you know, when they come out with that play, I have no idea. But I'll tell you what, probably from the ball game.
Yeah, I think you're right. That turned everything. Gamecocks had scored. They got the ball back quickly. They went down and scored. All of a sudden, you had a tied ball game. Ellis, what about South Carolina's defense? Like I said, they've given up 100-yard games, and last 2 games, the 2 running backs ran pretty wild against them. What do you think Clayton White and company have to do to slow down Clemson?
I don't know schematically anything they can do. Especially, I think the subject we keep talking about is true. Is who they've been playing, you know, who ran up all these yards, et cetera. The East is as bad as it's been ever since the divisions were split. I mean, it's terrible from top to bottom. It's terrible. So it's hard to judge. You know, if Carolina's played, they usually play a tougher slate than Clemson coming in, and they're more physical because of it. But I don't know if you can say that this year. On the other hand, same thing with Clemson. I mean, they've run the ball, like Chuck said, they ran it really well against 2 football teams recently that are not very good on defense. So it's kind of hard to get a feel for it. But I think the whole key is Clemson is going to have to stop Carolina's running game. South Carolina's got to stop Clemson's. I think South Carolina's defense has played pretty doggone good over the course of the season, and they've had themselves in a lot of pressure. So has Clemson. But their defense is not close to Clemson. And unless Clemson gets burned trying to take too much pressure and be a little too aggressive, I just don't see how Carolina scores enough points to beat them. On the other hand, if they can just make Ungale make some mistakes, it'll keep them in the ball game. So just see who can run the football, and then see which quarterback makes a game-losing mistake, and that's probably it. Unless something crazy happens with turnovers or special teams or penalties.
Chuck, I know you have connections down in Florida. What was your thoughts on what the Gators did this week with Dan Mullen?
Well, they had to do it. He's kind of gone off the rails. Had first two seasons were really good. Last year kind of unraveled on there at the end. And he did some, he's made some crazy comments, and then what he said about recruiting said it all. And he was done after that when he said, we recruit after the season. And Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, they're recruiting 365 days a year. That told it all right there. And, I don't think they had a choice because, that program was headed downhill. And, so they're out, I think they went ahead and made the decision so they could, obviously, there's two or three guys out there that everybody's going to be trying to hire. And right now they're competing against LSU probably for, what I hear today is Napier has a job. And I think that would be a great hire for them if they get Billy Napier. That the word is that's done and going to be done this weekend. Now I haven't talked to the athletic director. I'm just saying what little bit I know.
Breaking news.
No,
Jimmy Sexton ate his hat at the comeback shack last night.
No, but they had to make they had to make a change. Because that thing was unraveling, and they just got to make a good. No offense to Will Muschamp, but they've made three bad hires, and they can't have another bad one. Florida should be one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the country, and and they obviously they're not there, but certainly they can be. They're building a facility that'll be as good or better than Clemson's, and $85 million facility at football facility. So they've got everything you need. They just need a coach that can put it together and that can recruit the state of Florida.
With Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy Chalk Talk here on this Wednesday night. Looking forward to South Carolina and Clemson coming up on Saturday. And Coach Reedy, before we let you guys go, I did want to get a comment or two going back to your high school roots when you were the head coach of Goose Creek High School. Phil was mentioning earlier about how sort of memorable it is to be able to practice on Thanksgiving as a high school football player. When you had state championship caliber teams, how important was it for you to be able to work this week? And how did you manage this week with a holiday going into an upper state or lower state championship game?
Well, you always wanted to be playing on Thanksgiving. And, it was always a great, for us, was just a great day. We would practice early Thanksgiving morning, and then have a Thanksgiving meal with our players and the players' families. And so it was a great day, for your high school football program. And again, obviously just to be playing during Thanksgiving means that you're one step away from the state championship.
Yeah, a good question. And Ellis, going back to your high school days and memories, we've got Gaffney and Spartanburg playing for the upper state 5.
A few years there, they split the regions up. I don't know if they played that much as a regular game, but that was a huge rival. Of course, I was on both sides of it 3 years each in my 6 years of high school coaching. I came out of college and I was hoping to, get on a grad assistant somewhere and couldn't. So I had to go coach high school ball, and you kind of feel like you're taking second choice. I found out at the Gaffney that football was pretty important, and it was really my head coach, Bobby Carlson, let me do a lot of things. Let me run the defense. He let me learn as a coach, and it was a great little old town to find out that when football is important to people, you better get the job done because they'll let you know if you don't. And but it was a fun time. That ought to be a good one. One of my former players from Gaffney is the head coach at Gaffney, and he's done a great job, Dan Jones. So I guess I got to pull for the Indians on this.
Well, listen, you guys are fantastic. We all want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Chuck, thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy Thanksgiving. And Ellis, same to you. I hope you have some great turkey and a great time. And guys, let's do it again next Thursday one more time here in the regular season. Recap USC Clemson. Look ahead to the league championship games, if that's okay. And thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thanksgiving to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Ellis, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Doesn't get any better than that if you ask me. Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, breaking it down for us, and really appreciate them taking time out here on the night before Thanksgiving, Bergie. And I just listen to them. I learn a lot. I get some real good insight as they break it down offensively, defensively, and honestly when they look at these teams.
I think that is the key focal point, Phil. Anybody can draw up the X's and O's, but you get them on the radio where their comments may be scrutinized, and both of these guys are unafraid to say what they believe at their heart and in their core about what South Carolina is doing offensively and Clemson is doing offensively from Chuck Reedy's perspective. And then also on the flip side, when Ellis Johnson comes to the table, I'll learn more in the 20 minutes or so that we have them on the program each week about football than I've ever known. I mean, these two guys are just legends in their field, and their football knowledge is beyond compare, and they just do a terrific job. And I thought everything they said, if you're looking to scout both of these football teams, I think you just got it. What the Gamecocks can do well, what they can't do so well, what Clemson can do well, what they can't do so well. You just got a pretty good scouting report on both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And they make a lot of sense with what they say. I think they both agree that Clemson's defense is still elite. And South Carolina's got to protect the football, and they've got to have a way to offset the pressure that Clemson's going to bring. I think that was Chuck's message. And then for South Carolina's defense, which is good, not elite, but good, the question is, will they be able to handle the run? If they can handle the run and make the game a passing game for Uyunglele, Chris, I mean, I think that's the key for South Carolina. If you're going to let somebody beat you until he proves that he can do it himself, you got to make Uyunglele be the guy that beats you.
I agree, and this is a Gamecock defense, as I mentioned earlier, has been extremely opportunistic about forcing turnovers, excuse me, and it has allowed them to stay in ball games where maybe they should not have, but just because the defense is giving their offense a short field. And I think you're right. I think they have to go in with a mindset that Shipley and Pace and those guys out of the backfield are not going to beat us. We've got to find a way. Let's see if DJ can play at an extremely high level and have him throw the football over the top of our secondary. And I think if you match up South Carolina's secondary, Phil, versus the current roster of wide receivers for Clemson, I think that's one area where the Gamecocks actually have a pretty good advantage.
Well, they got to keep an eye on Bo Collins. I think he's proven he can get deep and make the big catch. If E.J. Williams is able to play, that'll be a bonus for Clemson. But I think Shane Beamer said it at his press conference, too, yesterday for South Carolina defense, tackling. Shipley is shifty, and he can make you miss, and he can break tackles. Same thing with Pace. If they get a lot of yards after carry, they're going to have a good running day against South Carolina. That'll make it tough for the Gamecocks. All right, top of the hour break. And, Chris, are you with us, or are you leaving us for basketball?
I am off for basketball. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too, sir. Have a safe ride home. Back in a moment.
Local in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Columbia's local talk radio experience. 107 The Point. MakeThePointRadio.com. The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. In Brunswick, Georgia, prosecutor Linda Donikowski says the jury got it right today in finding Greg McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Bryan guilty of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery.
The verdict today was a verdict based on the facts.
Yes.
Based on the evidence.
Yes.
And that was our goal, was to bring that to that jury so that they could do the right thing. Because the jury system works in this country. And when you present the truth to people and they can see it, they will do the right thing. And that's what this jury did today in getting justice for Ahmaud Arbery.
Federal Reserve officials in discussions earlier this month said the central bank would not hesitate to take appropriate actions to address inflation pressures that pose risk to the economy. Officials maintain the spike in inflation this year was still likely to be transitory, while acknowledging the rise in prices had been greater than expected. Also at townhall.com, Senator Marco Rubio says removing Colombia's FARC rebel group from the U.S. list of foreign terrorist organizations could imperil regional security.
Senator Rubio was quick to respond to reports the administration plans to remove the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia from its list of FTOs. In a statement, Rubio writes, Colombia has endured decades of pain and suffering because of the vicious terrorist attacks spearheaded by the FARC. The Wall Street Journal reports the move comes after lobbying from the Colombian government and is meant to recognize FARC's transition into a political party, one now known as the Common People Party. Bob Agnew reporting.
Determined to reclaim Thanksgiving traditions that were pretty much put aside because of the pandemic 1 year ago, millions of Americans are sure traveling this weekend. AAA predicting more than 48 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Are you a responsible person who finds yourself growing deeper in credit card debt? Then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity Debt Management will consolidate your accounts and work with your creditors. You'll save thousands and become debt-free for keeps. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. 1-800-990-6976. 1-800-990-6976.
European Union says an economic recovery is being threatened.
The EU says the massive spike in COVID-19 cases over recent weeks is threatening the bloc's recovery from the deep economic slump caused by last year's onset of the pandemic, and medical experts say the situation could get much worse. Economy Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni says the upbeat picture painted only 2 weeks ago when the EU executive raised its growth forecast for an economy bouncing back from the worst of the pandemic was now in doubt again. I'm Charles Philadesma.
Well, the Biden administration has approved an offshore wind farm to be located on the coast of Rhode Island and part of a plan to deploy 30 gigawatts of offshore wind energy by 2030. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Another hard freeze expected overnight with the low dropping to 29. Tomorrow, chilly early, but warming up for your Thanksgiving festivities to 65. We'll have more sunshine than clouds. Friday could be a rain day, while on Saturday for Carolina and Clemson, we'll have sunshine all day at a high of 61. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, back with you on Sports Talk on this Wednesday night. Phil Kornblut on location. Going to be hunting for some birdies and bogeys tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day. Looking forward to that. I got inspired by talking to Two Gloves Tommy Gainey today in Florence, and he's fantastic. Good to hear that he's doing well. Had a little bit of an elbow thing going on, and he said he's still a little bit sore, but he's had it treated and is feeling better, and he's going to make a return. He has an exemption on the Corn Ferry Tour, so he'll be playing there. And he's got 5. He told me he's got, as a past champion, he can get into 5 PGA events this coming year. So good luck to Two Gloves. Tommy Gainey, always fun talking to him. And he'll be at the Carolina Clemson game on Saturday. Of course, he's a huge Gamecock, and he thinks the Gamecocks are going to pull this thing out on Saturday. So we have got some time for your calls. Bottom of the hour, we'll have Will and the Thrill with us and get their takes on what's going to be happening on Saturday. But between now and then, we got some time for calls. Love to get some quick reflections from you and some quick predictions as well. 888-898-2525 is the number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We'll also do recruiting here in just a moment. Want to remind you, of course, with the cold weather kind of moving in, we have in the state of South Carolina to get away from things and enjoy the weather. You can go to the mountains, of course. You can head down to the Midlands, or you can go to the Low Country over in the Charleston area, over to Hilton Head, Beaufort, but also the Grand Strand offers some great locales and great opportunities to get away. And if you're looking for a place to stay, you're looking for a house, you're looking for a condo, something to rent, maybe something to buy, we recommend Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty. That phone number, 843-237-4246, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. They have got a tremendous selection of properties. I was talking to Jimmy the other day, and of course their business is fantastic. They are turning around the homes in terms of rental properties, the condos in terms of rental properties, and they're selling a whole bunch of properties as well. So if you're thinking about making that lifetime purchase, they can handle that for you as well. He's got a tremendous staff, and they know the territory all up and down the area of Paulie's and Litchfield, excuse me, and Garden City and other areas in that part of the beach. So give Jimmy Smith a call, or just call James Smith Realty, and you'll get Jimmy, or you'll get one of his fine agents. 843-237-4246, the number. Paulie's Vacation Rentals.com. Make your plans for here in the winter or the spring or summer. It's never too soon to get all that nailed down. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Will and the Thrill will be with us. Looking forward to hearing from them. Our phone number is 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you want to join us with a comment, a quick question, want to give us a prediction, a take, an observation on what you've heard this week, give us your own unique spin on what you think is going to be the difference in the game on Saturday. I mean, I think the good thing for us here in South Carolina is that for really the first time in the last 4 years, we can really talk about this game and think about little things that would make a difference. Let's face it. The last 4 years going in, you really didn't feel like South Carolina was going to have much of a chance against Clemson. Clemson was just too good, and South Carolina was just not in a position to be able to go out there and do much with the Tigers. And the results, of course, speak for themselves. You look back over the last 4 years, and as I mentioned, the average victory margin for Clemson was 32 points over the Gamecocks as part of this 6-game winning streak. And let's face it, had they played last year, it'd be a 7-game winning streak. South Carolina wasn't going to beat Clemson last year. Now, the first 2 years of the streak for Clemson, 14 and 15, relatively competitive games, 35-17 at Death Valley, and then that 37-32 game in Columbia. But then 16, first year under Will Muschamp, Gamecocks go up to Clemson, and it's a no contest, 56-7. Come down to Columbia, and these were great Clemson teams now. They came down to – that was a fourth-ranked Clemson team. USC wasn't ranked. The next year, USC was ranked 34th, remember. USC was having a good year. And the thought was, the previous year was just one of those years, and they'd bounce back. Well, they were still dominated 34-10. Clemson was ranked fourth. And then 18, Clemson was ranked second. It's 56-35. And then 19, Clemson was ranked third, and it was 38-3. So when they beat the Gamecocks in 2017, the Gamecocks were 8-3, you might recall, and went on and won a bowl game that year. And they couldn't handle Clemson. So Clemson's just the last 4 years with Trevor Lawrence, and before that Kelly Bryant, and before that Deshaun Watson. Just too much for the Gamecocks, and too much overall star power, too much offensive skill, and the defenses of Clemson, of course, have been unrelenting the whole time under Venables. This year, what South Carolina has done, and if you go back and look at the history of the series, and I hadn't broken it down, but maybe if I have time, I will, between now and Friday, the years when South Carolina goes in to the Clemson game with a winning record, indicating that they're pretty good, the Gamecocks have a good chance to win. I mean, look, South Carolina has been hammered in this series for its lifetime. The Gamecocks trail big in the series against Clemson, 71-42-4. And even in Columbia, where the games were played for, exclusively until 1960, in Columbia, Clemson leads by 20 games, 52-32-3. So coming to Columbia, obviously not a big deal. But in those years when South Carolina has had a winning record going in, they've won some games against the Tigers, and that's the case this year. For example, you go back, of course, during that 5-game winning streak. Of course, the Gamecocks had winning records and more going into those games because they were good teams. So a winning record going in indicates that South Carolina's having a pretty good year, and I think enhances their opportunity to win the football game. So we'll see. Just some things you look at as you kind of break down little pieces of tidbit here and there related to the football game. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Let's give you the recruiting report for tonight. It is brought to you by Seawells. Seawells, of course, closed the rest of this week for the holiday. They give their great staff a few days off to be with family and friends and enjoy themselves. They'll be back at it on Monday, which means they'll be ready to serve up another week of the wonderful daily lunch buffet from 11 to 2 at Seawells. And now that we're into the holiday season and beyond, you're looking to get back to having parties and big events and welcoming people to your home or to your business or to some location, or maybe you want to have something at Seawells. They have a beautiful facility with plenty of banquet space. They are the people to call, the best in the catering business. 803-771-7385 is the number for Seawells. So in recruiting, of course, South Carolina with the home game against Clemson, the Gamecocks are going to have a bunch of recruits in for the ball game. And one of the most important ones coming in is linebacker Stone Blanton of Madison, Mississippi. He remains a top target for USC in the 22 class. He took an official to USC in June, and he was back for the Eastern Illinois game in early September. And this weekend, he'll be back on an unofficial visit after he goes to the Egg Bowl between Ole Miss and Mississippi State in Starkville tomorrow night. The Gamecocks are one of the 4 teams he is still considering, with Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. He wants to make a decision before or on December 15th, the first day of the early signing period. He told us nothing really's changed. He's been focused on winning a championship, and they won their 3rd straight state title last week. So now that's over. He plans to relax and work on his decision. And, of course, coaches can get out to see prospects in the 22 class starting on Sunday. and that's going to be real important. He said Mississippi State is coming in to see him next week. USC's to be in the following week. He continues to have good conversations with Shane Beamer and with Clayton White, and he says he's really enjoying getting to talk with White and Beamer. They talk a good bit, and he has been to games this season at Ole Miss and Mississippi State. He visited Texas A&M last summer. Does not have a favorite at this point. He's been a Mississippi State baseball commitment for over 2 years, but he is basing this decision, this final decision, will be based strictly on football, though he'd like to play baseball too in college. Clemson offered 2023 safety Jaden Bonsu, 6'2", 190 of Hillside, New Jersey. The following players have indicated they plan to be at USC Saturday. 2020 athlete Mekhi White of King George, Virginia. 2023 running back Jashawn Anderson from Hartsville, had a really big year. 2024 running back Trayvon Dunbar, Silver Bluff, another standout in the state. Another running back from the state. 2024 Cortez Lane of Camden. Tight end Peyton Strickland of Goffstown, New Hampshire, is going to be at South Carolina. Now, he camped this past summer at South Carolina and apparently impressed. He's a good all-around athlete, doesn't face real stiff competition in football up in New Hampshire. Now, South Carolina got to look at him in camp, and they made him a PWO offer, something he's been thinking about doing at South Carolina, so we'll see what happens from this visit. 2024 running back Sammy Brown of Commerce, Georgia. 2023 running back Jarvis Green of Dutch Fork. Also, of course, Antonio Williams, the wide receiver from Dutch Fork. Everybody's kind of keeping an eye out on him to see what he ends up doing. Right now, he's down for an official visit to Auburn, and there's been no confirmation yet that he's going to go to Auburn this weekend. If he doesn't, it would make sense that he would end up at South Carolina. If he wants to go to a ball game, and it makes sense for him to go to South Carolina to watch two other teams that he's strongly considering, but no confirmation one way or another on his plans there. 2023 safety Amer Farrell, 6'2", 192 of Lake City, Florida, has USC in his top 10. The others are Ole Miss, Arizona, West Virginia, Penn State, Florida State, Pitt, Miami, Tennessee, and Cincinnati. There you go with the recruiting report for you here tonight on Sports Talk. Nothing goes better with turkey than recruiting. It's even better than cranberry. Turkey and recruiting is better than turkey and cranberry, if you ask me. All right, we'll hit a break here on Sports Talk and be back on the other side. Some comments from Cliff Ellis, Coastal Carolina basketball coach, on winning number 800 last night. Excuse me. And a few words from USC basketball coach Frank Martin on his team's win over Wofford last night. Let's hit the break, Pat, and we'll be back.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make your plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation. Past winners include Stephen Gilmore, Marcus Lattimore, Jadavian Clowney, and Luke Doty.
It's definitely an honor, to be recognized as one of the best players in South Carolina. These guys are definitely deserving of the award as well. So it really is just an honor, to be named Mr. Football.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
COVID-19 booster shots are now available for those 65 and older, long-term care residents, and those 18 and older with underlying medical conditions or at high risk.
See if you're eligible at scdheck.gov/COVID-19 booster. Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxfax.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career, just like Kristen. Your passion is our purpose.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
If you are pregnant, DHEC and the CDC strongly recommend the COVID-19 vaccine. The dangers of the Delta variant, increased risk of severe illness and pregnancy complications are too great to ignore. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are at greater risk for hospitalization and for critical care, including ventilation and admission to the ICU. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are more likely to have major pregnancy complications. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxlocator to find a vaccine near you to protect your unborn baby and yourself.
Got that 800th win last night as they defeated Valparaiso down in the Bahamas. Here is Chris and Coach Ellis talking after he got that 800th victory.
It's really a tribute to the players and all the people that I've worked with, administrators, coaches. It's just a lot of people that I've been blessed with in this career. And I couldn't do it without them. I've got also my wife has been tremendous through this journey, and the children, and it's just been a team effort all the way, and just very excited. I wasn't expecting it, but I got my shower. As you can see, I'm about to freeze to death. They poured ice water all over me, and I'm wet from head to toe. But the players, they're really excited about it, and that makes me very happy and proud. And I told them I'm just glad that they're part of this moment. And it's one of those things where a lot of people, like I said, from start to finish have been a part of it, and it's been a long journey, and not many people have made the journey. And I'm just very fortunate that I've been given the health and the people that I've been surrounded with, and I just very, very humbled by it. Very humbled.
Folks outside the team don't understand just what a difficult situation it was to get your family down here. They had issues with flights and the like. How fitting, though, knowing what they went through to get here, was it for you to get the 800th win with them in attendance?
Well, that's very special because nobody wants to miss that. But they were stuck in Charlotte. We had a lot of problems, with American Airlines getting in and all that kind of stuff. We really, 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 really had some issues, and they had to spend the night in Charlotte a couple of nights, but they were bound and determined to get here, and I'm just glad. But it was a nightmare of travel for them, and I'm just glad that they're here to be able to share it. It'd been a shame if they hadn't, but they got here got here today about 3 or 4 hours before the game, about 3 days late, but they're here.
All right, let's talk about the game.
All right.
You mentioned to us Thursday afterwards your team would learn something off the Wilmington game. My guess is, Coach, you found out you got a very gritty team. This was a terrific win by your club.
Well, it is, and it's been gritty. We have not shot the ball well. I'm going to give credit to both the teams that we played, but we have just missed some point-blank shots. And, sooner or later, those shots are going to fall. And in the second half, we finally got some things going with Ebo and Esam. But our defense has been – we've got size. We're a different team. We've got size, and our size really was a big factor in this game tonight because we were able to keep them down. And we did the same thing against Wilmington. And, it's going to be a grind, I think, in every way that we play. But I think that this team will continue to get better. I mean, we've still got so far to go, and there's so many things that we've got to do. But the big focus for us right now is try to win a championship. And you've seen these teams like I have. I mean, what a tournament! I mean, these teams like from Valparaiso on down there's just every game has been just like this one, and it'll be that way tomorrow. And we just got to sit there and grind it. I think Toledo is a team that, they're a team that's picked to do very well in their conference, and they're in a great conference. It should be a great battle tomorrow.
All right, Cliff Ellis, after getting win number 800, and now a few words from USC coach Frank Martin following his team's win last night at home over Wofford. Here is Frank Martin.
I told Jay after the game, I was a assistant coach for a Hall of Fame guy that left, and then I got the job where he was coaching in, and that's really hard to do. And what they built a culture of winning there at Wofford, and the job that he has done to sustain. Think about. I don't know any details, but I know that Stu Murphy left because of grad school issues. If not, he's on that team. The starting center at Virginia Tech he'd be with them. The starting point guard at Morehead State, who is a 12-point-a-game guy, he's supposed to be on that team. There's a young man that I believe signed with Alabama that's from the state, from the Charleston area. He was on that team. Those guys transferred out. What Jay's done and then the brand of basketball they play, they're good. They're that team that when you're sitting on that selection Sunday and you see your name go up on the board and that's your first round matchup, you sit there and you're like, it's much respect to Jay and those kids for how hard they play and the brand of basketball that they play.
Frank, obviously they're a three-point shooting team, and they hit quite a few in the first half. What did you guys do to adjust in the second half to kind of chase them further off those screens and close out that space?
Yeah, they run offense and when I mean run, that doesn't mean that they sprint down the court. That's the most overrated part of basketball. Like everyone's an athlete, they should all be able to run down the court. But when they make their cuts and they go screen and they take the screens and they do it at a high pace. And I made some substitutions because you got to play guys, you got to learn. And I think the guys I put in weren't prepared to play at the speed that they run their offense through. So they got some open licks. But as the game went on, I don't care how hard we try to run their offense in practice. BJ Mack, the point guard, number 4, the other guy, I can't remember his name right now. They've been running that together oh my God, I'm losing my mind. They've been running that together for 3 or 4 years.
All right, 85-74, South Carolina with the win last night over Wofford. We're back in a moment.
Another hard freeze expected overnight with the low dropping to 29. Tomorrow, chilly early, but warming up for your Thanksgiving festivities to 65. We'll have more sunshine than clouds. Friday could be a rain day, while on Saturday for Carolina and Clemson, we'll have sunshine all day at a high of 61. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. South Dakota's Supreme Court upholding a lower court ruling that nullified a voter-passed amendment to the state constitution that would have legalized recreational marijuana use. Governor Kristi Noem instigated the legal fight to strike down the amendment passed by voters in November. Damages from flooding last week in northwest Washington state expected to top $50 million. And to add insult to injury, now forecasters say very heavy rain should be moving into the region sometime Thanksgiving Day. Authorities say a boat loaded with migrants has capsized in the English Channel, that while attempting to cross from France to Britain, killing at least 31 people. At least 2 survived. This is SRN News.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Now, who could that be?
It's Dominion Energy. I signed us up for a home energy checkup. It's time we learn how to save energy and money.
How much does it cost?
Not a dime. It's free, and it only takes about an hour. Plus, we get a report on things we can do to make our home more energy efficient.
I don't know. Sounds too good to be true.
No. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free. Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Divine Street downtown.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear Blaze Orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to a lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Weekdays from 7 to 9 on The Point. It's Kev and Brian in the morning. The news, the traffic 4 times an hour, and your daily forecast. Topics to wake you up, topics to make you smile and laugh. Hope you'll join us.
The Point.
back we are here on Sports Talk on Thanksgiving Eve of 2021. Thank you for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Hope you're traveling safely wherever you're headed out. I know the traffic is probably hellacious all over South Carolina and all over the Southeast. Updates in basketball. Presbyterian defeats VMI 59-54, and Coastal and Toledo will be tipping off shortly. Ohio State and Florida still to come. Vanderbilt and Pitt. Memphis, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, all coming up. VCU is leading Syracuse 59-51. 4:43 to play there. Florida State out to a 24-20 lead on Boston University, and about 7 minutes to play in the first half there. And Valpo, the team that Coastal beat yesterday, beat Tulane today 68-64. Clemson women victorious today over North Florida 84-72. And I think that's we're up to date on things there. So let's go to the phones. I have a caller standing by, and then I think I think Carl's going to be joining us, having trouble catching up with Will. So we'll have Carl Hill coming up in just a moment. Let's go to Bruce in Camden. Bruce, good to have you with us. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Phil, Keith.
Hey.
But hope you you and Pat have a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, you too, sir. It's always good to have you with us. Keith. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And do me a favor. You got Will and Carl coming up, but I want you to ask Will. I mean, the key when I think about, I listened to Satterfield today, and I was a little concerned when he said we can't be too vanilla. I mean, all year long we've overcomplicated it and we can't execute. What do we do to be able to win this game? How do we slow that Russian attack down? And talk to Will and ask him if it's possible, because we're averaging 20, 21 points a game. I don't see us scoring. I think whoever wins this game scores 30 points. Love the show and look forward to hearing from Will, and tell Carl to quit interrupting Will when he's talking. Thank you, bud. Bye.
Well, I think Carl might have the platform all to himself, having trouble connecting with Will, who might be up in the mountains and not able to get our signal, though he did confirm to me earlier he'd be with us, but we're not connecting with him. But if you heard what Chuck Reedy said tonight on Chalk Talk, a lot of screen passes, a lot of, counter plays. If you can catch them in a blitz at the right time, you can break a big running play against them if you hit the seam right. There are things you can do to counter it. You just have to be smart and have a feel for when they're coming. If you can do that, then you can survive that and have some success. But that's easier said than done, obviously, because Clemson hasn't allowed many teams to do stuff like that. Let's welcome in Carl Hill as we go to the thrill side of the will and the thrill. We have the thrill with us, the former Gamecock standout linebacker. Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir, and thank you for joining us tonight. How are you?
Hey, Corn, actually give me about 15 more seconds here before we're able to bring him in with us, please.
Okay. We'll get him on with us in just a second, and we'll have Carl with us to talk about things from his standpoint, South Carolina perspective, and he'll share some of what he feels about on a Clemson standpoint as well. Handling that Clemson defense obviously is going to be a big-time chore for South Carolina's offensive line. And look, and Carl's with us now, and thank you again for being with us, and happy Thanksgiving. I know you're out in Memphis with family and friends, so thank you for taking a few minutes to be with us. How are you feeling a few days before the game based on what you saw this past weekend and what you have seen of Clemson and know? How do you feel this game stacks up from a South Carolina standpoint?
This is going to be a really good football game for us. We've achieved a lot this season that nobody really thought we were going to be able to achieve, and to be able to go out and beat Clemson at home. I think we're 5-1 at home, so we're playing well at home. They don't have an offense. I'm I'm thinking about going down. I got a little wage on it. I'm so close to the casinos, man. I think I'm going to have to make another trip down there.
Hey, man, be careful. We want you to come back with your shirt and have a way to get transportation back. But, I mean, that all sounds good and very fanboyish of you to say all that. But when you look at it, X's and O's and in the real world, Carl, Clemson's defense is really, really good. And South Carolina's offense, you know, they beat Auburn and everybody's feeling good. But they still have issues on offense. They still have issues blocking people. Now, they had some really good runs against Auburn, in particular, Zaquandre White showed his great athletic skills and broke off some big plays. Can the Gamecocks line up and drive the football on this Clemson defense?
Hey, Phil, both of our game plans going to be the exact same. Make the quarterback beat you. Clemson's quarterback, he can't beat anybody. Their offense is awful. Our defense is probably the second best defense outside of Georgia. They played all year. It's the biggest thing for us is we're in a good position because Clemson offense sucks. They haven't done anything all year long. And I heard somebody say, well, they played a little bit better at the end. I'm like, at the end of what? Come on, you know that old saying, come on, man. Let me tell you what Clemson offense have done. They beat UMass, which was the 124th defense in the country. It's only 130. They beat Wake Forest, the 112th defense in the country. Again, they ain't beat anybody. They're afraid. They're scared of us. Here's what we're going to do, and they're going to try to do the same thing. They're going to try to throw the ball, make our quarterback throw the ball, stop us from running the ball. Whoever stops their other team from running the ball is going to have the better game. And they're going to turn the ball over because they can't throw the ball. They can't throw it, catch up. If we get up ahead, they can't throw it to catch up. There's a lot of things that go in South Carolina's favor, especially if we're playing at home.
Yeah. They played UConn, not UMass, but I mean that's pretty much the same. They're both.
It's the same 124th ranked team.
Yeah, they're both bad. What do you see? All that being said, and look, I know Wake Forest's defense against the run was not good, but Clemson did. They rushed for about 400 yards. They really
on a
pounded
112th defense.
Yeah, I get that.
Defense.
But they still had to execute and get the ball
that
to the guys.
That don't mean nothing.
But what are you going to do? What are the Gamecocks going to do defensively? Are they just going to rise up and just shut that down?
Clemson offense hadn't faced the defensive line outside of Georgia like ours. They hadn't faced a secondary. Our secondary ranked like 15th.
I'd say, hang on. Now, people say that. Hang on. Well, I mean, they lost the game, but Pitt's defensive front is pretty good, and they held Clemson to 17 points.
They're not better than ours.
Mm-hmm. NC State's defensive front is not bad, and they held Clemson to 21 points.
We're going to hold Clemson under 21 points as well because they can't score.
You really think the South Carolina defense is going to nullify the Clemson offense?
The only thing you have to do with them, it's their quarterback remind me a little bit of Jake Bentley. And it was, only thing you have to do is bust him in the mouth in the first series, and he's done. He's gonna roll up and just go in the hide. He's gonna feet gonna get happy, eyes gonna start looking around. They don't have anybody. If they get down, they've not demonstrated all year long the ability to throw the football, to come from behind and manhandle anybody with a good defense. They haven't shown that all year long. On the other hand, everybody talking about us in Auburn and Florida, they ain't this and they ain't this. Those teams had so much more, 5 times more talent all across the board, both of those teams in South Carolina. South Carolina is playing for the name on the front of the, that's what Shane Beamer's got them doing. I've been saying it all year. They're playing for the name on the front of their jersey and not the name on the back.
Look, I'm not taking anything away from them beating Auburn and Florida. When South Carolina can beat those named schools, I don't care what their situation is. That's a good day for South Carolina. They deserve all the credit in the world. But I just don't know that you that all of a sudden you morph into this superior offense.
It's not
in a
all.
matter
It's
of a
not.
few
No,
days.
no. Phil.
You have to
I'm
admit,
talking
Carl.
about
Listen,
the defense.
you have to admit, Clemson's defense is for real, and those defensive
They're
ends.
no joke. They got probably. If I probably tell you, we've not faced outside of Georgia. This is going to be the best defense, probably front seven we played all year long.
All right, so what do you do?
Outside of Georgia,
what
I tell you what you do. You throw the ball on their they're giving up about 240 yards, 220 yards in the air. That's where you get them at. Their secondary ain't not that good. They're giving up a lot of runs, a lot of passing yards. You can't beat them running the ball. You got to beat them dinking and dunking, short passes, hit them long because their defensive backs all been susceptible to long passes. And Venables always gonna bring them safeties up. His whole deal with South Carolina since he's been there, he bring his safety, pressure his safety, and we're gonna be smart enough this time to actually go on the top of those safeties. They're gonna get tricked so many times. Their safeties and corners are not good enough for South Carolina.
All right. So your prediction is?
South Carolina win by. I'm telling you what. It's gonna be very similar to the way we beat Georgia. I think it's gonna be a couple of years ago. I think it's gonna be something like a 17-13 game, 17-10, 13-10 game. South Carolina win this at home. We're in the cockpit. We 5-1. Shane Beamer's got us rolling, baby.
And what is on the menu at the Thrill Hill household tomorrow in Memphis?
Well, we have to take care of Mama a little bit, so we got us a turkey. Cost me $60. I'm sorry, $60. I'm like, when the turkey get that? The turkey. But anyway, we got a little bit of turkey. We got a big turkey for $60. Then we got a little bit of dressing, but then we do spaghetti, baby back ribs, little filet mignon steak. We do a little shrimp on the grill. We do a whole lot of, but we give my mama her traditional because she don't cook, so she can't tell us what to pick. We just do her little bit of Thanksgiving. We're gonna have a big spread, man. The whole family, most of the family's coming over.
Well, you guys have a great time. Thank you for joining us. We'll get you and Will together next week on the flip flop, and we'll talk about what happens. And thank you for joining us.
Go Cox.
Carl, the Thrill Hill, stepping in. I kind of played the role of Will there, though I wasn't as abusive or as intrusive, I don't think. I was trying to challenge Carl on some things there from a Clemson standpoint. I kind of like that. I kind of like going back and forth. And thank you, Carl, for being with us. And after the break, Coach Todd Knight from Newberry, we look ahead to their second-round playoff game coming up in a moment.
The Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl is back for 2021, showcasing the best South Carolina high school football has to offer. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com and make plans to join us in Myrtle Beach on December 11th in celebration of Palmetto State All-Stars from the Upstate, Midlands, PD, Grand Strand, and Low Country. Visit TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com for a full schedule of the week's events leading up to the game and Mr. Football South Carolina award presentation.
Hunter Helms in at quarterback, drops straight back in the end zone, fires deep. He's got a receiver up the seam. 45, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown for Omarion Dollison.
That's the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl kicking off at Myrtle Beach High School's Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, 12:30 Saturday, December 11th. Get your tickets now at TouchstoneEnergyBowl.com.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping, the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at FutureScholar.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there. offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
All right, it is Clemson, Clemson week here on Sports Talk. I think everybody knows that. But it's also Newberry time. I hope Coach Knight doesn't mind that we had the Clemson fight song in our rotation there as he welcomed Todd Knight of Newberry to Sports Talk, because he's got a big football game, second round Division II playoffs coming up Saturday up in Bowie, Maryland against Bowie State. Coach, good evening. Happy Thanksgiving, and how are you?
Doing great, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Hey, congratulations on that win Saturday down at West Florida. What a ball game. You jumped out early. They came back. They put you down by about 2 touchdowns. You came back, caught up, went to overtime, and won it. What a ball game.
Just an amazing day, Phil. One of, if not the biggest wins in the history of the program. The second time we've beaten a defending national champion, but the first time that we've beaten one in a playoff scenario.
What'd you take from your team's character, intestinal fortitude to be up, maybe feeling kind of good about themselves, then falling behind by a couple of scores, but then finding a way to come back to win?
Well, we started something in spring talking about grit. And I had to teach the kids what that really meant. You know, everybody thought we was going to go eat breakfast when I started talking about it. But just I never quit. You know, don't ever give up. Fight all the way to the end. And we talk about it all the time. That's kind of our motto. And the kids have bought into it. And feel like we caught West Florida at the perfect time. They just came off a huge game against Valdosta State. Valdosta was ranked number 1 in the region, and it was for their conference championship. And they put 61 on Valdosta State and rung up 600-plus yards on offense. So we felt like if we could start fast and get out the blocks on them quick, maybe we could hold on to it before the sleeping giant woke up. The plan worked for a little while. We got up on them. We shocked them. Of course, they came screaming back, especially in the second half. And we actually found ourselves where we had 27 unanswered put on us. And then we had a kid block the punt and scooped it up and scored, and that was the turning point for us. I think that really kind of got us fired back up in the second half. And once that happened, our kids wasn't going to have it. They were going to fight all the way to the end. We brought it back. And then in overtime, up and down the sidelines, I just talked about, listen, we've been here before. We played in big overtime games multiple times. How many times has West Florida ever been in overtime? Probably never. And I said, this is our time. We got this. So defense went out, 3 and out. They kicked the field goal. And we just kept hammering it, and finally ran it in, and just the place erupted.
Yeah. So now you head to the Northeast. You face a Bowie State team that's won 11 in a row, and they just beat Lenoir-Rhyne. You know how good Lenoir-Rhyne is, 31-10.
Right. I know how good they are because it was a tough game against us and them this year, and we ended up beating them, but they are a great team. And Bowie State, in some ways, I feel like is even better than West Florida. West Florida's defensive line, big, strong, physical kids. Bowie State is a little bit different animal, extremely athletic up front. They're big enough if you run it at them that they can stop you, but if you run away from them, they're quick and athletic. They can catch you. At our level, from what I've seen on film throughout our region this season, probably the best defensive line unit that I've seen.
Well, they've got a running back over 1,200 yards, Khalil Wilkins. And, of course, you've got a 1,000-yard rusher in Anderson. We're going to see a battle between these ball carriers?
A little bit different game plan from the West Florida. West Florida want to throw it every time and never want to run it. Bowie State wants to run it every time, and they really don't care about throwing it. The similarities continue. I feel like our offensive line, their offensive line are very close. DL-wise, they're an elite unit. I feel like they are going to ground and pound it. I think we have a little more mixture, a little more blend with us between the run and the pass, and both teams have athletic quarterbacks that can beat you with their feet or beat you with their arms. So this one's going to be tight. I know last week was overtime and it was tight, but we're so much alike that the good on good value for us at practice this week, where we didn't have to rely on a scout team as much because we could just go against our own offense, our own defense, and it would be so close that the good on good factor just was such a positive for us this week. It's going to come down to, in my opinion, I think special teams play, and hopefully we can flip the field. Hopefully we can block a punt. Hopefully we can do something like that because we have done that throughout the year.
Can we get you a plane ride up to Maryland, or are we busing it again?
Not a chance. Phil. 9 hours to Pensacola. Now we're turning around the same trip. All we're doing is going a different direction. 9 hours to Bowie, Maryland. Again, I'm going to have to pump the gas. I'm going to have to hand out the sandwiches. But one positive thing about this trip over the last one, we do have enough towels on this trip. We did not have enough towels last week.
Well, you're not going to be playing into the ocean here, I don't think. So that will be a bonus for you. Good luck. You're carrying the state flag of South Carolina with you up to Maryland. We'll be keeping an eye on it Saturday. Hope it goes well for you, and we can talk to you next week.
Thank you so much, my friend, for having us on. And look, just keep an eye on us, and a little prayer might help too.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. All right, Todd Knight from Little Newberry College, the little program that can, Pat. At one time, they might still be the school with the smallest enrollment in college football, playing college football in the nation. I think at one time they had that notoriety. I don't know if they've added enough students to turn that around, but what a job they have done this year. And good luck to them, man. Get another win and continue on in the playoffs. That'd be wonderful. They're 10-2 going into this game.
Yeah, it's been really impressive to watch what he and his staff have been able to do over there in Newberry, an already proud program, but they are just continuing that legacy and building upon it, and exciting to see what they're able to do this weekend in the playoffs.
All right. Wrap up some basketball. VCU beats Syracuse. Ouch to the ACC, 67-55. Florida State leading BU at the half, 37-35. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you, Pat Daniel. You are the man. We appreciate you and hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Everybody be safe and sound. Enjoy the day off tomorrow from Sports Talk. We're back at it on Friday. We'll see you then. Have a great night.
The only afternoon local talk radio in Columbia is the Afternoon Drive with Kev. It's all about you. It's your phone calls. It's my challenging topics. All the news, traffic, and weather weekdays, 4 p.m. on The Point.
Press that button, Home Stew.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this